Title: The Road Back to Redwood theme summary. A burned-out city executive returns to her rural hometown after 20 years and uncovers buried family secrets, rekindled relationships, and the healing power of Paragraph 1. Kara Winslow hadn't been back to Redwood, Oregon, in over 20 years. Not since the day she graduated high school, tossed her backpack in the backseat of her boyfriend's rusted Camaro, and drove off swearing she'd never look back. She'd made good on that promise. Until now, the death of her estranged mother forced her hand. The funeral had been small, quiet, just the way her mother would have wanted it. Kara didn't shed a tear. There was too much unsaid, too much resentment stuffed into dusty corners of their past. She planned to clean out the old farmhouse, sell it, and return to her high-rise apartment in Seattle where her real life waited. But from the moment she stepped onto the warped porch boards of her childhood home, something shifted. The smell of pine sap and tobacco, the creak of the screen door, the wind through the tall grass. It all wrapped around her like an old coat, uncomfortable but familiar. Inside, the house hadn't changed. The same framed photo of Kara and her little brother Jamie sat on the mantle. But Jamie had died in a fishing accident when he was 16. At least, that's what everyone said. Yet, when Kara found a sealed envelope in her mother's dresser, addressed to be opened by Kara, only when I'm gone, the old version of that story began to crack. Paragraph 2. The letter was handwritten in her mother's careful cursive. "I'm sorry I never told you the truth about Jamie," it began, "but I had to protect you." Kara reread the sentence over and over, her hands trembling. According to the letter, Jamie hadn't drowned. He'd run away. Their father, a man Kara barely remembered but whose temper had left deep emotional scars, had been abusive, not just to their mother, but to Jamie. One night, Jamie fought back. Something happened. Something violent. And in the aftermath, their mother had helped Jamie disappear. He'd been living off the grid for years, somewhere in southern Oregon. Kara didn't know what to believe. Her mother had always been guarded, quiet, even cold at times. Could she really have kept this secret all these years? More importantly, was Jamie still alive? Suddenly, the house felt less like a tomb and more like a time capsule. Kara began sorting through old drawers, photo albums, notebooks. Everything seemed to carry new meaning. Hidden in the lining of an old coat, she found a Polaroid dated 2003. Long after Jamie's supposed death, he looked older, wiser, and he was holding a sign that read, "I forgive you." Paragraph 3. That photo was all the confirmation Kara needed. She dropped everything and drove south. She followed every breadcrumb. A PO box in Medford, a hunting supply receipt from Ashland, a torn postcard from Crater Lake. It took nearly a week, but she finally found a small cabin nestled between the trees near Grants Pass. The door creaked open slowly. Jamie stood there. Older, bearded, cautious, but undeniably her brother. The reunion wasn't cinematic. There were no tears, no dramatic hugs, just stunned silence and a quiet, "Hey." Over the next few days, they talked. Really talked. For the first time in 2 decades, Jamie filled in the missing pieces, the night he left, the guilt that followed, the places he'd stayed, the people who'd helped him survive. He'd wanted to reach out, but fear and shame had always stopped him. Kara admitted her own guilt. The way she'd left without a word, angry at a family she hadn't fully understood. Together, they mourned their mother. Forgiveness didn't come easily, but it came. And in that tiny cabin, surrounded by redwoods and memories, something unspoken passed between them. A shared understanding that family isn't defined by time or distance, defined by the willingness to come back when it matters. Paragraph 4. Kara didn't return to Seattle right away. She stayed in Redwood. The farmhouse needed work, lots of it, but each chipped tile and squeaky stair held a story. She reopened her mother's garden, fixed the fence Jamie had helped build when they were kids, reconnected with old friends she never thought she'd see again. The local librarian still remembered her name. The high school gym still smelled like dust and sneakers. Redwood hadn't changed much, but Kara had. The career she'd chased for so long no longer felt like success. It felt like escape. One morning, she stood on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the mist roll in from the hills, and thought, maybe I'm finally home. Jamie visited often now. They didn't talk about the past much, they didn't have to. They were writing new chapters. And in a small corner of the living room, beneath a window that caught the sunset just right, Kara framed that old Polaroid. "I forgive you," it said. But now, she read it differently. Now, it meant, "We're still here. We still matter. And it's not too late to begin again."